and cannot handle where they had arrived in their own life, they run. A feeling of sadness comes over me. Learning that there is nothing more sacred than another person, I can be in an admiring manner from afar. Emotional hangovers for months, my dream of being myself came with regret. There was no breath I could use that I can recover from. Is the truest aesthetic experience creating art, or just a totality of one's slope? Struggling opponent of crippling emotions, a movement through the soul. Enormous swells to sting, extending far and wide. Through the hopes of art, quotes and other people, there's going to be some stuff in life that's going to make it hard to see the blessings. An insult to injury. Rulers creating piety. Trendsetters. Sorry, I'll stop. Trendsetters in culture presented like monks or philosophers, with no sense of trying, till one is willing to ode and bafflement. Is that alright there? Sorry.
Yeah.
So some of these words are kind of really cool. Hollow horns otherwise formed as regular bodies, adding to daily pains. Feel the moans of the poetics. I act to what I know. I react to what I don't. Left stuck in a ponder of wonder, where did all those years go? The king of the gods set distribution channels as for the queen. Beauty is in her. We're all guilty at face value. Mythology, legendary gossips in the wind. Look into my eyes, you can see my soul. I haven't sold it yet. To what troubles my very worry? It's all too easy to lean into those I shouldn't, as I decline those who I should.
I'm alright.
And life to small to mid-sized telcos to provide, the best welfare outcomes to consumers at large. So be able to achieve the social and economic objectives and also deliver on a
So there's a little at times. There is freedom, corruption. A swelling of nude, obscene scenes where the theatre cannot duplicate. National attitudes and national symptoms of statewide shrines. Shameless keepers, young boys, keeping of ravishing beauty of girls. It's so easy to reach for the material of the Stoics, where their writings do not belong to the landscape of philosophers. Language is humanity's powerful weapon. It goes beyond poetry. It's an expression of ideas of wisdom being passed through creation. But there is superstition in the nature of people, deluded alone, but it's normal in large crowds. It's been situated in the timeline of immortality, passing from ancient knowledge to the modern, where future predictions is prophecy. Clinging to an ideal, displeasing of certain things, divine or not. It would be cool either way if we landed on the moon or not. My collection in art is a collect forms of my personal longings. I haven't read every book, seen every film, listened to every song, nor have I danced enough. But trust me, it's on my list. I don't want to be special or unique to everyone, just those who love me. That goes anything poetic. This poetry is attention calling from me to others. It's not what I crave, or nor is it food for my poetry. It's just I cannot spend my entire time alone. Individuality. There is no long duration of passages of fondness in my life, just small peculiar moments. There's a tasting of fruit before it goes sour. As increasing the enlargement of the kingdom of men, so does wisdom, status, and poverty of all. Lustful in the injustices, sweeping with ownership, wanted to fade aside at birth, but the idea of freedom needs to exist. So
Whenever you're ready.
a flight to push forward. A combination of painful truths morphing into something else. A tear dropping where coming of age is no longer a cliche, but something extremely personal. It's only an opera where tragedy happens and everything sings. The melancholy of the mundane will not fade away. It will remain as long as it's easier to find oneself, like a shot in the dark, as it hurts to love.
Keep going.
To what kindness knows all too well, Cruelty exists. 2 minutes for that solo. As to my own internal war, a need for solitude and a craving of connections, to keep to myself, to be dialectic in the world with my poetry, swinging poems like the swinging hands of time. In a desolate area, I creep mournfully alone. It's a sacrifice to building an original character, attached to myself, as none of my sobs can cry loud enough. I endure long, and I'm tired. Being described like magic, I am peered into other people's worlds, like a murmur of rare quality. They love the idea, but in reality,
I've always been afraid of deep intimacy with others, having to understand them, understanding me. It's a sense of lost control.
individuality is selfishness with humility. It's all too easy to endure than to change anything about me, right or wrong. Embedded thoughts, in hopes to match my morals. Being saddened is seeing the daily mundane without its charming veils. Depression of what people do, left questioning, what was I thinking? A whisper that dares, a toil letting go. Only in poetry can there be a sympathising voice. I can finally see the threatening gestures from the devil, looking out for instant gratification. Reality gave me space to breathe. Now it's cold to everything I do. Hell is made for everyone and it doesn't discriminate. I'm in an empty world and I'm the population. I was a foolish romantic lost in ideas. Thought I was harmless and innocent. I'm on the verge of giving up. I relate to Poe. The life I want, the experiences I crave for, like a junkie in peak addiction, is something washed by and saturated by angels. My third eye circles those images of that life, like a vulture to a dying body enduring its last breaths. It's all I can do, and if I hear another person telling me to be kind to thyself, I'll scream as I hide my face behind a Jason mask. Dramatic, yes. My emotions know nothing else. Perhaps the purpose of death is to kill desires and then allow another to use creation as their life. The walls get taller, the rooms get smaller, embellishing in burden, fragile in the anxious state. When my grief is over, I'll have to prepare my body for death, but I'll get noticed once I'm gone for. as if I could be for somebody. The greatest gift from one is this life, is the courage to try to live with contentment, dignity, wisdom, and the ability to amend my mistakes while I forgive others who wronged me. I don't want fame from this poetry. I want a conversation, and you weren't around. I have exceeded my original purpose of gaining an original person, which is me. I did it without a murmur. I'm sure to most art pieces will be forgotten, besides the artist himself, and may be remembered by their lover only. It's a very poetic way to die, dead from a broken heart. To some, art pieces causes ripples over the earth's cultures, denying people the time of reflection over their own life. They engage in such works like popular music blasted from the youthful crowd. Lifting an axe, I move silently, pushing my arms up, grass to swing, hoping to silence that.
Very straight. Their irrigation system is quite well done. But then as they walk, your guess is as good as mine, mate. I do not know I've literally just been reading into South Korean history just recently, so I'm just getting educated about South Korea now. Apart from
What's with the milk flour?
Yeah, mate. That's what I often start off with 2 pieces of toast.
Yeah, cool.
With life going on in different shades, in opera is where tragedy happens and they sing. To what can I learn from Muncher's scream? I'm vulnerable, so I act out of fear. To why does the symphony flow matching my private emotions? Does the composer have a secret passage to my internal life? Though I do know why Goya is now famous, as Vermeer paints the mundane. Isn't that what we all do? Secrets are best kept from yourself, so it's hidden in symbols. Letters in language are logical symbols. Anything artistic will always be in the trends. It's where they pass their messages. To touch utopia, we must dream, which is birth and rights for void, and no longer peace is need. Folklore weaved with freedom. When your eyes are veiled with stars, red flags just look like flags. See how passive these lines are. I've seen the injustices of the world, turning my eyes to my own mistakes. Through the process of it all, and I feel ashamed now. Penned in actions and hindsight wisdom. There's a difference between knowing morals and knowing about morals. To every philosopher boasts about freedom, there's an audience to listen with cheering claps, and we can easily walk out of the stadium when they yell out the flaws of freedom. Are we obligated to act on morals? Blind eye on such things. Sure, there's misunderstanding between lovers, despite the pain, the urging want to hit. Isn't it flattering to see them pulling their weight of efforts, touching the ocean top of love, then swimming down to the bottom floor? But we all must hurt, and get hurt in the journey of love. We're all guilty. A snap in reality, breaking illusions from my mind. All I can do is write tearful poetry. Now my eyes are cannier turning of the wind. Now my face is dramatic, the same with my composure and manner. At times my mood is able to frame my body where it all matches, jumping into joy and excitement. There is nothing wrong with chasing your dreams, where the dreams hide in the sleep of veiled flowers and ferns. But dreams know no borders, states, limits. But the need I thought that's wanted for being a poet. I grew into a fragile sensitive person. Straight from the mind to the mouth. Written words spelled from my hands. I found myself in a bottle of bourbon. By myself, I'll never be on the night my dreams died. Now there's an impending urge to live my life now, and not to wait for anything.
Sound a bit black though. But you always have to like come back to a poem though.
Yeah, it was great.
Ah yes, video games, mate. Video games. Have a smoke and have a puff, you know, to all these
That's
people.
how everyone starts, man.
That's the way it starts, and I got to the stage where, you know, I was just feeling that inkling of smoking. I was like, oh, yeah, I feel really good to do it. Just the motion of doing it would just feel really good. And once I got to that stage, in fact, no, I remember exactly when I was like, nah, I got to stop. Was I woke up one morning and I was coughing my guts up after smoking what would have been a lot for me, like about 6-7 cigarettes that night. Like that's a lot for me. And I was thinking, no, not getting to that stage, because it was just that feeling of I need that. I didn't want to get to that stage. It was just like, I don't need it. Like, I enjoy chatting with people who smoke. Why do I need to smoke? Or maybe I'll just let them smoke, and when they come back, I'll have a chat with them. I don't need to smoke just to chat with people. What the future holds, I don't think it's all negative. A lot of people have been saying it's very negative. I mean, we're living in very interesting times at the moment, but I think there's hope. Like, I think these times of depression and these times of the apocalypse is coming, has always occurred. There's always been stages where but they've introduced this into the world that's going to lead to the destruction of human civilization. It's not. It's going to change the way humanity works and how it works with other people, how it operates from a day-to-day basis. But I don't think it's going to mean the destruction of civilization. I think we're in a bit of a turbulent time, especially with socio-political element of things like sexual identity and racism, discrimination. That's kind of become a hot topic at the moment.
Ready?
Can I pull out my phone?
Spitting out, venting words of regret, commuting to the next thing to distract. It can't all be out west. I cannot accept some things. Everything is pouring into my essence. I'm not far off from going elsewhere that distracts me. Floating from spoken folklore, breaking my heart of the mistakes I made while chasing my dreams. Alleys full of people selling junk to help with a good thing to last a little longer. Ruined souls enter and exit the alley. Moaning when they can enter, jumping for joy when they leave. We'll all have to fall and fail in moments. Tobacco that I smoke doesn't hold back scraps of bark. I wanted contentment. I never had the nerve to yell out to people I love. Rather, I stayed at home, trapping myself in my bedroom to write poetry, abstract. I chased my dream instead. I opened up to some. They didn't want to spoil my journey. My life isn't better without you. Aren't we all out for love? I wanted to get drip drunk. When you're poor for a long time, it becomes the new norm. Looking at images from glamour magazines where I could eat it raw, I had met a South American. He smiled and shrugged his shoulders while emptying his pockets. I've been told I was handsome like a dancer. Life is life. Something I cannot change. Breathing in perfume from exotic lands, and a myth is alive somewhere. Perhaps it's what I'm looking for. A place where I can be accepted. Children are public figures now, and I'm on the road. I think people can change for the worse when people ignore them enough. I don't think any dream is worth missing out on the blessings of knowing another person and allowing the ones you know to love you. Shit. But that's the price you pay. You chase your dream and miss out on love, or you get love as you love, but end up elsewhere. As for that paradox, I think I will call it fate. But playing it safe comes at a cost that isn't obvious. I don't belong to theatre. I always feel that I don't fit in. When people get too close, they fret and fright. Running back east. I'm not clever with words. I ponder and let them flow here. It's easy to push people away. It feels right, doesn't it? The words get smaller, the walls get taller. Isolation is something else. Now all masks have grins. Coffee isn't as strong. I'm always missing out on something. It's where we hide our shame. Shame is felt to be paid for our sins made from our hands. As our hearts become torn, we bleed inside and say nothing about it. But a bird can sing in any mood. How'd you stop there? Yeah.
Whenever you're ready.
To that rare phase of me being loved by another person is precious to me. Memories to something that I can never part from. To where I am is another's nowhere, and I have no say in it. I have done nothing to another. I can never change that. Many forces influence everyone, but nothing is safe from flaws, whether it's the expression of language and text and doctrines. I'm thirsty in proving the importance of conspiracy theories and wisdom yet not gained. When reading, be aware of the flaws of the text, knowledge of the right and their skill. But the fear of losing someone, something, whatever can turn the mind into overload restlessness, charm and opinion in. The problem with truth lays in infinite wisdom, making absolutes hard to find, pulling forth myth. Immortality can kill desire. To how we perceive things makes a difference. To whatever isn't here is somewhere else. Leave here now, knowing that tomorrow has the potential to be anything, though definite truths cannot change. Know when to be humble. I am not elevating off the ground. One's own self-realization is one's greatest gift to themselves, for the world. I don't know since 1945, I haven't met anyone named Adolf. I'm not getting into the pool, it's where people pee. Desire isn't wrong, it can be a sign that something is missing. To where people pee. Oh shit. Alright.
Cut.
Could be a sign that something is missing. To whether you seek outside or in, the choice is yours. But destiny will happen. You have to read into philosophy now. Reforming the world starts and ends with the individuals. For what mortals love, they will boast about it and they condemn. Condemn vices while act on them privately when they draw attention to their virtues. Things will be kept from being perfect. Praise how absurd everything is. Paranoia comes with awareness. And I'm a nobody. We're in Wonderland right now. My fireflies belong to me, and at times, I want to pack my bags, worry only about the clothes on my back, a packet of cigarettes, and leave somewhere else. When it all becomes all too familiar, everything is endless. Try to do everything well. We're not all equal. That makes us special. I know who I am. Nothing else matters now. I just want to hold your hand while you smile. For that is a blessing from its accidental benefit finding. Without meaning in my life, life itself becomes an aesthetic overload. If you never look, then whatever is just what you think of it. If you never find, it's left in your dreams while you sleep. There it lays. But some things are great to help spark to enlightenment. But for those some things, they might have to be let go. Nothing is without effort. Without a sound it forms besides the moans of pain that's crawling forth. I'm still unsure what is the greatest error of man. Get shit down. No one else will. From heaven's gold, a striking appearance for people who talk and cannot converse with holy riches. To what is my end game? A person, another brick in the wall. We're situated in the across the stream of time to where placed in this volume of history is not our choice. Being visionary isn't a blessing. You're blessed to see things others don't. You're blessed to see things others don't. Their belief in those words can make such a difference, or not. It's dark and hot in hell. It's hard to convince another when they are sinning and winning at the same time. But a reflection lives outside. There will always be a life not lived. Experience is known but never to experience, and that's something tragic. Do not always render to despair to blame, but we love to, and that engages our senses to be let down sooner or later. You can be hard on yourself. You can feel shame. shame, regret and void. But to pull another down to your level, somewhat fully, to turn away those who want nothing else besides your presence, conversation, attention, those who make time for you, listen, bring you gifts for no reason. They're keepers of your holy realm. But if you can do anything naked, do so with pride. Trust me, most would never help you along the way. If you want to be respected as a total person, be something more than physically attractive. If there's really something about them that takes away anything from you in a negative way, walk, go, let go. If you're going to destroy them, there's nothing about them you still want. But this poetry journey from me started when I met one girl, a catcher of boys' eyes, enslaver of hearts, and my emotions no longer become a vague, dull colour. Breaking out to make an effort. I had no literary goals at all, like I had been waiting all my life for attention. She was a stylish gypsy, lost from her tribe, and internalizing her own pain with the aim of finding peace to where she was when I met her. I was frazzled, unsettled when I first wrote my first poem. I had no words and presented a blank piece of paper. An innocent full moon, frightened in my found solitary, away from society and my peers. I intruded on silent space. Trust me, I wasn't trying to rebel against anyone. Not even dismissing the person I was when I first met her by creating someone new. I'll send her poetry, no reply, which is a response. Sympathy for the devil. But only one's efforts can be considered a testimony of love. Though I convince myself I'm different and she notices, adjusting to such. It's love when the two meet and act. Like a jazzman holding an instrument who played notes. Every word I wrote had a sincere tone with it. Hoped to rearrange her feelings, but she received it and took upon her chest as an act of kindness, to where I should realise her chest hovering over her ribs that protected her heart, and she left it there until we run our course. As for now, that girl is forever elusive, unlikely will ever change. There's other people who can invoke deeper issues than me. Proust and Tolstoy, to name a couple. With her gone, I'm left alone. Gone, wondering if I'll ever love again. Trembling into a deeper void of a thought, if anyone would ever love me. Coming into the age of being romantic. Living itself comes with regrets so profound. I've been told that a person had once dreamed to be met, but it wasn't what they asked for. Intense, somewhat out of control, spontaneous, for they lost themselves and unable to recognize themselves. Being told this by another had broken my heart. Realizing I had become addicted to chasing my ideals, like an actor on stage, being cut out from a heavy novel, flattering at the same time, being in awe, while the others do their best to break away from my gaze. I don't think I'll ever reach fame in poetry. I am not wired to leave behind unrequited love and unwanted lovers. I just want to live, with or without ceremony. Haven't you ever lost yourself in passion? A long self of prose, describing tales of two, and wanted to be inside those stories? It's dangerous to romanticize others. You could possibly not be so when those tales present themselves in your own world, an accidental find. At a time when you wanted to move on. It's hard when you meet those characters and see what kind of person you are. Missed in ways, You touch, you embrace, you become scared. Do not allow your own insecurities become more valuable than what can be. Tragedy should only belong to stories told by writers and never from a moment in one's life. Oh sweet pea, I loved you so and want to puff out my chest and make life safe for you. These dramas that poetry told with ease was your first time. We stopped reading philosophy for fun, talked both of serious matters and meaningless topics. I wrote you poetry, it was the first time. I listened to you talk, it was your first time. Never a past experience you could refer to in how to handle such. I made an effort to be a part of your life and accepted you as you are. To whenever reflected inside, all you could find is where your life had led up to and felt ashamed. Felt shame. You started to look away when you saw me. I felt pain and wanted to take it away from you. There were people who only thought of you as their ideal and run when your character smashed it, but I stayed. Young sage, do not fear. A fever wakes us up and not permitting us to sleep, tossing and turning. You could always be fully yourself and didn't know what to do. You discovered the people who always let you in, who you always let in, and that became normal for you. I was new, realizing you didn't have to change and you could be such a person. But a change in life is scary and you wanted to hide, claiming you're doing yourself. All I could see was the good to match what you could see.
Just any sort of story?
Yeah. Speak up to.
I think I want to. Sorry, I'm trying to think of what I. So I was out with my friends, me, Jordan, Hayden, Christy, and Carla. We're just walking down the street. We're coming up. We're coming up to my friend's place, Hayden's place, Jordan's place. Sorry. I had a little backpack on and that, and I was across the road from his house. So I don't know. I was just trying to be funny in front of the girls. So.
He's gonna ring hooks. I stayed there at his front door. And, he came out, dragged me in. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing, at my car and shit?" He sat me down in his office. He's like, "Where's the fucking spray cans?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "Show me the fucking spray cans." He takes my bag, nothing in the bag. I think I had a jumper. I was like, "Don't have any spray cans."
Rolling? Whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready.
Just your soul to what makes you good and your sins to which you've committed, and will atone for at gunpoint. When you hear your fate, life will either be a total blessing or something completely unjust. Both will last forever after death or the end times. Solemn. Poets, be master of your word. Painters, be master of your strokes. Musicians, be master of each note. Do not live in angst, people. Life will be better before this time. Without anxiety, at least some joy will it be experienced and not something to be yearning for. Wild beasts will come and rape your first daughter and chop off the private of your firstborn. Without a care, and its master will teach them how. Humanity is only a glint, one glint, like a star. Pretty from a distance, something to philosophize where it's comfortable for you to be with, to which I didn't know. We are allowed the demands of life to conquer and take control. This is it. Meeting one another at a wrong time. You feared to what you confronted with that would pull me down. I am not suitor or a lover as a phase. The idea that I only wanted something deep and intense. A froth. But sweet pea, I just wanted us. You hurt me because you were hurting. You told me the nicest things. Times even praised me. But that was only to relieve your own guilt in hopes to correct what you did wrong or couldn't do. A lover wanted. I caught you off guard, never allowing you your time. I smothered you, and I was too much. A boy laid, a boy raised. It was all new and unplanned. These people, the people with raw emotions, tamed spontaneous stream, thinkers, the poets, the calming words. We'll always have people timing and wanted, but never asked. I've never been one who proceeded to set out and change another, for I whisper or scream a hello. I see your beauty, want to be a part of. At the end of the day, I'm escapist. It may have been selfish, but I meet someone beautiful and wanted to be near her. Just being lost in her presence at last. I have been reintroduced to a place and state I knew all too well. Alone, known by another. For what is wrong with me? For what does one do when they arrive to a place of not only discovery, but of tremendous change? For like actions to vice, it's easier and more natural to foil than it is to leap forward. I struggle now to look back on sweet pea without a sense of shame and loss, wishing it had never happened. For now, without her, I struggle with my patience to allow her the time and space to work out for eternal life. She's a part of my essence now, nothing to do with her own fault. I carry her with me. Regardless, I can't focus on anything, not even for a moment. There is no justice in romance, only in the yearning and small moments where lovers and romance meet and become lost in it. Her sparkling like passion in obscure interests paved way for permission to be myself. At the end of the day, she felt she had nothing to offer or contribute. Over the fully grasped fear of me figuring her out, turning me away. As for now, it's an affair from reality, and it hurts to avoid the thought of meeting again. As for those compliment, or to those words you string together to what I did, for it does not cure the hurt of you walking down to the railway, turning around to thank me, with the lights glowing behind you as the night sky for my background. I'm only writing now as something to do, and yes, if you're around now, these words will not be written. When I meet another person, that for the reasons of love, I would hate to think you'll be smiling unless it's because of something I have created. I wish I could impact your life to a point that an image of me is carried around with you, like a photo in a wallet, and that you know that somewhere there are people sweet and genuine. One who isn't plain, blending into the ordinary. Who is who they are, reaching for ideals while accepting their present mood. I wish that you could see that in me, and I am not someone for a phase or a form for something to do to pass the time while waiting for another. Poems are bullshit unless they're derived from an experience or longing, unless you can relate to it, drawing it into you closer. I am not disinterested in the outside. I have internalized so much of myself that I've decided to keep till another is in love with me. Quiet as I keep it at times, it must spill out. A relationship of the other sex isn't an issue, but a question of love. This poetry that I write is to pass the time. Can broken hearts really fix someone's vision? I'm interested in anything. I'll be the first to admit I'm addicted to the highs of life, and that what nothing else can give to what is in love. Missing the point of life, that our very calling is to be content as we live our own life. Like consequences, a life's journey is something we cannot avoid. A hopeless romantic is my curse, my burden. Love is something I can give, but must live without from another. Have an open mind of love, but to deny all is something close to blasphemy. It doesn't make me angry or discriminated against, just saddened that love doesn't get a chance to breathe. I don't know what the purpose of a poet is. I just write. Not to show off, not to draw attention, not to puff out my chest. I have feeling with no control to. Thoughts that lay outside in aesthetic form. I am a slave to myself. Think of the words that I leave. Styles not used. I smoke cigarettes all day, lay in bed, with books around, music playing in the background. An addictive trapper. A conversation within myself, speaking out loud. I cannot be one thing, tamed in a single perception to where you have me, and continue to see me out. I am alive outside that single sight, slowly burning, bright and beautiful like a Roman candle under a backdrop of a night sky. Though it includes grief and pain too. I can escape poverty of the soul, but cannot escape the lows of life, to which alludes the allure of money. Empathy for the empathetic, loving all those people who they shouldn't be, as introverts are themselves, but fully alone. Now I love as I hate, derived from the life I've experienced. Praise be the revolution of the individual, I do not dare praise my own. It is up to others to do so. That is, I am worthy of. For we are all people first and last, but I must live first before any poem is written. If not, I shall wish in my poetry and let waiting of patience be my foe. For I look back on those loves, I met every word that I wrote. It brought joy, even if the joy was only a moment. But I remember all the tirades of the emotion. I am grieving for someone who's still alive, flawed, imperfection. Done. If you want to do more, start another. No glares of missing eyes, just the one at the centre that soars high. Missed of all, it flees careless and free. Its hands peel precious wine. As it recites poetry about the end times, conjure up as emotions of failures and shames meet within. Not million, in fact in the billions, dismiss the thought of arrival, shudder in fear and weep to each word spoken. In that poem that recites in every detail how your life will end. Its tongue doesn't skip a beat, rhymes perfectly, in every human tongue. Though it's a tyrant, some have complete devotion to such creature. Reddish aura over a dark shape. The eagles seem to cry, rats and cats run to it to pay their own homage. Fogs and dogs, mist and a devilishly rubbish smell. Pigs talk and end up screaming about sacrifice. Such as early talks of such end times. Prone to sudden fits of rage, wearing cold murder to the creature is as natural to him as breathing is to you. Gold, sex with virgins, praises will be used, more valuable to what has just been written. One's own soul. Nothing in this life is free. Everyone was given life, despite never asking for it. Master of famine, king and queen to poverty, dreamer user, inventor and distributor of disease. When voted in men and women give in, trenches of brave people, rage war, knowing privately they'll fail. Still they try. No one is truly pious. It will take more than forever to master that trait, and so very few are blessed with immorality. This creature has the attributes of a supreme leader, just without its own kingdom. For in no dogma, no myth, no whispers of physical storytelling knows of such creature, no prophecy, nothing, not even in Nostradamus. Endless it seems, for it walked to the horizon and back. Perhaps it comes from the other side of the moon. Trembling slaves enjoy. From learnt pleasure and addicted to a self-produced evil. After so much, they grow to love, follow the creature, and sweeping down to help. Fine, call it demons if you must. For most, that's the best their own imagination can conceptualize. People are their prized pleasures to take with them and eventually turn into them. Lust can be good. We've got something inherent in us and encourages us to be a bit more carnal, sinful, selfish, and so on. Most just keep it a bit better kept, inside the privacy of their own home. After all, in a democratic system. Hitler got voted in. Not in vain, read this. Do not concern yourself from where, how, or why I write this. Death will come. The end of the world will come. Just ask yourself, what will come first? Work for everything, but cherish nothing. In the transition, you will never be permitted to take anything with you.
When you're ready.
Oh, yeah. Something to philosophize over, then learn, but close at face sight. The star is already dead. Whoever said the struggle will stop today? A lot of mystics dead and never to be martyred. Plus, you don't have any gold to give away, so you can remove your past. Underslung sky. Now is not the time for fear. That comes later. Desolate, intense, resent, nothing at the same time of everything. Bloated with both virtue and lust, malice. For life wanted melody. Instead, people got malady. The creatures stepping over the earth's land. People run, as that very military shoots an end in fail. It's not monster film. People run. Some stop to pay homage and offer their souls as the so-called demons suck them up. Those people turn to sin and fucking orgy form an iron race become. For some, if they're going to be talented, it's far better to be such as someone in great fame to things they've always wanted to do to one another. Most people die. The creature sets up camp, Astana. Takeover and demands complete and whole obedience. Holy books burn, slaves for the rest still living, though mostly dark ashes fall from the sky. Grey colour themes, burning bodies left on the ground, and homeless children asking for their mother's war. Just walking along now.
You can talk and stuff.
Oh, talking. Yeah. Tell another story. Shall I tell another story?